Keeping up with the Joneses is a phrase we've all heard, but nowadays, people are getting creative. It's no longer just the Joneses. We can also keep up with the Williams and the Johnsons. But regardless of who we put on a pedestal, most people know exactly what this means. And as a channel that creates content on personal finance and money, you know that encouraging better budgeting and spending less than you earn is something we often stress about. It doesn't matter if you earn a little or a lot. Maintaining the same lifestyle as another person keeps a ton of people stuck in ruts. However, we have some good news for you. People are starting to get it, and we have heard of people talking about how they are not upgrading their lifestyle when their income increases and how they are learning to be more content. Yet we have noticed through observation that sometimes it is very stressful when a person doesn't think they are keeping up with the Joneses. It is usually on a smaller scale, and it's so subtle that they don't even realize that it is happening. So here are the 7 signs that you are secretly keeping up with the Joneses. 1. You are embarrassed by good decisions. You are embarrassed by good financial decisions. And the best way to describe this is through an example. Several weeks ago, you stumbled upon a post on Reddit, and the person who made the comment had a 6-figure household and was a couple, so 2 people worked. You can't remember how much they made in a year, but for some reason, $300,000 is sticking in your head. But even with their high income, they chose to live well beneath their means. They didn't drive expensive cars, and they kept their spending at the lower end because they knew in the long run that would be beneficial to their family, and they saved a lot of money every month. This person was doing everything right, and they were in a good place financially, but they were also embarrassed by their good financial decisions. Their circle of friends and family had bigger homes, nicer cars, and just more stuff. Do you know what's even more interesting? They were not only embarrassed, they were also afraid of their kids being embarrassed since they didn't have as much as their peers. I'm pretty sure that this is quite new to you since it has been described that way before. Usually, when you have someone living well below their means and they intentionally made that decision, these people will be proud of it and start owning it. The whole scenario was pretty unique because on the one hand, they were not keeping up with the Joneses due to the fact that they were making decisions for their family's best interest. But they also feared being seen as a poor family member, even though they were far from it. We do not know the outcome of their story. But the bottom line is that when we are doing our own self-evaluation or self-reflection, we can ask ourselves a question. Do we get embarrassed by our good financial decisions even though they will benefit us in the long run? 2. You have to one-up people. You might be secretly keeping up with the Joneses if you always one-up people, and this happens to be one of our biggest pet peeves. We realize that when it happens, it's not always intentional, and people are not trying to be malicious with it. But some people will do it every time you share something good or exciting about yourself with them. It's as if they are physically unable to let others have their moment. You know what we're talking about? Even though we might know people like this, sometimes we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and think about how we respond to others when they are excited and are sharing some good news. In other words, do you allow other people to have their moment when they are sharing something about themselves, like a new job or a recent trip? Or do you feel the urge to dominate the conversation because you want them to know that your life is exciting and you downplay their experiences? 3. You don't invite other people to your home. There is no rule that says that you need to have company. Some people don't like hosting and others don't like having people in their space. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there was this video of a lady who admitted that even though she loved being around people and was outgoing, she never invited people to her home. And it's not because she doesn't like having people in her space. She would like to host a game night or a party, but she didn't do it because she feels that her home is not as aesthetically pleasing. And she went as far as saying that she was not planning to host a party unless she was able to buy new furniture for the living room or do some redecorating. The crazy thing about the entire story is that her home looked nice. She didn't take us around or do a house tour, but what we can see in the background is that there was furniture, it was decorated, and the space looked newer. The lady in that video wasn't happy with her apartment because she kept comparing it to those of her friends. As a result, she didn't invite people to her home. 4. You frequently return items. We are big fans of returning items, especially if you are experiencing buyer's remorse or if you later decide that you don't need something. There is really no point in letting an item collect dust. We also believe in a little bit of self-awareness. When returning items, you should look for certain patterns because we know for a fact that there are some people out there who will go shopping with their friends, buy a bunch of items, then later return some of the items because they could not afford them. Individuals vary from this in a number of ways, but some people will either get caught up in the excitement of shopping to the point where their budget is thrown away or do it because they want to save face because they care too much about their friend's opinion. They want to give the illusion that they have extra money to spend when they really don't. 5. You are leasing a car. This might strike a nerve with some people, but at the same time, we also feel that there are people out there who might need to hear this. And if this tip does not apply to you, just let it go. We have nothing against leasing. We know that some people need a car temporarily, or they like getting a new car every few years. The payment for leasing is lower than buying, and sometimes this is a person's only option for affordable transportation. However, with every financial decision, you should consider the motive, and in this case, you need to consider the real reason for choosing a lease over buying, because the reality is that some people only lease a car because they care about their image, and through leasing, they can drive a luxury car that they wouldn't be able to afford. They might justify leasing by saying that the payment is a lot more affordable compared to what they would pay for an average-priced car. What they say may be true, but if you are getting a car with the sole purpose of trying to impress other people, regardless of what you are saving every month, you are still probably keeping up with the Joneses. 6. You stop taking your lunch to work. Spending money on food out every day can be expensive due to inflation. If you work full-time outside of your home, one thing that you should do from time to time is conduct a little lunch audit. This is where you basically list down the number of times that you are currently eating out for lunch and compare that to the number of times you used to eat out. It can be a few weeks ago, a few months ago, or a few years ago. And the reason this is important is because the pressure of dining out can be real sometimes. You have no intention to buy food outside, but your colleagues frequently invite you out, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to go out from time to time, but we feel like you are still keeping up with the Joneses if you stop bringing your lunch to work because you don't want to feel left out or you don't want them to believe that you can't afford it. 7. You stop being frugal. Being frugal is easier when you are around people who are thrifty and care about their personal finances. If your friends and family have a similar mindset, your goals and values are also similar, and you can support each other. It's easier to maintain these habits, but the same way a person's frugal ways rub off, so can a non-frugal person's habits. When you are being thrifty, some people might make rude and negative comments or even call you cheap. If you've had this experience in the past with certain people, you may have a tendency to abandon your frugal ways and do something you wouldn't normally do because you don't want to hear comments. For example, when you are in a clothing store or a restaurant, you know that it's a great way to save money to look for coupons and sales. Even though this is your normal routine when you are with certain people, you might not use a coupon because of what they are thinking. If they are paying full price, you pay full price too because you want to be socially accepted. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to see more of our content on money and personal finance. We will see you all in the next video.